Welcome to the Parlay Studios. This is Homestand NBA. I'm your host, Noor Zainab. Next to the one, the only, the J Unit, Jelani, Goodridge-Reid, and Justin Pooni. If you want to tune into everything NBA, check out our podcast at the Parlay 3 in the Key, where we talk everything league-wide, Eastern Conference, Western Conference, MVP rankings, everything you could ever imagine. And we're available everywhere: Apple Music, Spotify, you name it. We're out there.
Amazon Podcast for all you weirdos who listen on Amazon Podcast.
We don't want to be disrespecting our listeners, so wherever you choose to listen, whether that be YouTube, even on your MP4, you go. You do what you got to do. MP3, MP2, whatever it is. But this is Homestand, and home is Toronto.
It is.
Guys, the Toronto Raptors. Let's just talk about it. Let's get right into it. They're struggling. They're obviously pretty depleted right now, whether that be injuries, whether that be the flu that's going around in Toronto. It's also got the Toronto Raptors down as well. And I want to actually ask you guys about this infamous comment that Nick Nurse just had about Gary Trent before we go into everything, because we know people are missing. So that means a lot of pressure is on guys like Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Thad Young, Christian Koloko, even Malachi Flynn off the bench. And Nick Nurse, he's known to be a little bit rude to his players, and you know what? That could be a good or a bad thing depending on how you take it. You could be like Pascal Siakam and Boucher, fight him in the locker room, then come back out and drop 30 points and be called for MIP and MVP. But we'll see how Gary Trent reacts, because Nick Nurse went on to say he right now doesn't think the way that Gary is playing that he's a good fit on this team.
Yeah,
do you think those are fighting words or those are motivating words?
Has to be motivating words, right? Like, I think it depends on the personality of the player, right? Like, some guys might just be, for all we know, Gary Trent Jr. could have taken those comments like, forget this, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't feel like, some people need to have their arms wrapped around them. Well, some guys need a kick in the ass to start playing better, right? So we're gonna see how Gary Trent responds to this. But I think Nick Nurse is doing it out of a way to motivate Gary Trent, because he knows how big of a player Gary Trent needs to be for this team to have success.
There's a huge role.
Exactly.
Very important role.
And I think, yes, he's coming back from injury. We talked the other day, remember, guys, that we want to see Gary Trent play more consistent, because they need him to play more consistent, right? Yeah. And that's Nick Nurse trying to motivate his player through the media, which some people might think, oh, you can't be doing that and stuff like that. I'm a firm believer that, hey, whatever it takes to get your player to get the best out of him,
do it.
That's what you need to do, because Nick Nurse is here to win ball games. He's not here to be best friends with all the players, right? Yeah. He's trying to motivate him to play the best he can.
Yeah, no, this lights a fire up under Gary Trent, hopefully, right? And I think Nick really likes Gary, right? He sees the potential.
He's a starter, right?
He's a key, critical guy for the success of the Toronto Raptors this season. So that's why he's going to have to step up at some point, right? And that's why I don't think you should look at it as, oh, he's taking a shot at Gary. This is not a shot at Gary. This is something to let him know, we need you, bro. We need you. And once you do step up, we'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, those are fighting words just because we know Nick Nurse. We know what he said before. And if you're not maybe an NBA player who wants to get better, you might look at that as disrespect. But this is what we've known him to be. He's always been this guy, because he wants to get those players and his guys going, not just on the court physically, but mentally. And he's done that with Pascal Siakam, done that with Chris Boucher. The only one that maybe escapes this wrath because they're his favorites are OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet, who might be back for tomorrow's game against the Dallas Mavericks. So I want to also ask you guys about that one. We're not going to have Kyle Lowry this time to bring us back from a 30-point deficit leading the bench. And Fred VanVleet right now, not sure if he will be back. He is still sick. Gary Trent should be playing, even though he has still said that he's not feeling well as well. But the star and in everyone's absence has been OG Anunoby, who currently right now is averaging 24 points on the season in everybody's absence. Will that be enough to help us get over the Mavericks, or do we really need to see Fred come out, or will Fred even be enough against this Mavericks?
Dallas is a desperate team right now. They're not playing very well. They're kind of at the bottom end of the Western Conference, not where people expect them to be. Certainly not where I expect them to be, right? They have their own problems. Depth behind Luka Doncic,
definitely
right?
depth.
But if one thing is for certain about the Dallas Mavericks, that guy number 77 wearing a Dallas jersey, he is going to make your life a living hell for 48 minutes.
It's true.
You can have OG Anunoby on him. You can have Chris Boucher on him. You can have Fred VanVleet on him. You could have prime, like, Dennis Rodman on him. You could have Draymond Green on him. it does not matter. Luka Doncic is such a special player that he will find a way to get his own. It's going to be tough because he's Superman for the Dallas Mavericks.
He has to be.
He has to be. And with a depleted Raptors squad, I don't know if that'll be enough to stop Superman wearing a number 77.
I don't think it'll be enough because it requires all man's on deck. Everyone,
all man them on deck.
Yeah, all of them on deck. Let's be honest, okay? All of these guys have to step up because we know what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
I expect Luka to have a big game. The problem is if he gets some contributions from other guys on the lineup,
Which
that will really help.
There are
The
capable
Dallas
of
Mavericks,
Christian
right?
Wood,
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, so
Okay.
if they get somebody else to step up, that would really hurt the Raptors, right? So in terms of OG, he has been playing some good basketball as of late. Do I think he's gonna put up, another solid game? Hopefully, that's my hope, right?
Yeah.
Will that be enough? I don't think so, though. I don't think so. I think just because we are a depleted roster,
Yeah.
right? However, I would say Dallas, you mentioned their struggles. They have been struggling on the road. Okay, they only have one win on the road,
Yeah.
1-5. So that could help if you are somebody looking at the Raptors
Who
in
knows?
this matchup.
Toronto nightlife might fire up the Mavericks. They might.
I
even-
hope they came today.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this matchup, and I'm saying to myself, we'll see. We'll see who's gonna step up. Aside from OG, he's been playing well, but we will need a lot of guys to step up. Like I said, all hands on deck, all man's on deck, whatever you want to
I
say.
will
man them on
say, if
deck.
you're looking for good luck, every single time I've been in attendance, the Raptors have won. And the last time I was there, when they were playing the Mavericks, guess who was in the audience when Kyle Lowry brought
that?
that 30-point
Right.
deficit back with the bench map? So,
Are you
Nick
going to
Nurse,
one?
anybody? Yeah, I'm going tomorrow night.
Also,
So if you guys are out there, you need somebody, just coach send me
also
in.
be aware if you're
Coach
sitting
send
next
me
if
in.
you're sitting next to Noor at an NBA game. Be aware, maybe wear like a poncho or a raincoat, bring an umbrella because she'll probably be like dumping liquor everywhere. It's
can't talk
a
about that
hazard.
here.
It's a hazardous. It's a
This
hazard.
is a PG-rated show. We want to talk about drinks and
Exposed.
H2O and water
But the
and
Raptors
hydration.
The
Okay.
Raptors, real quick,
Tea.
0-3 on Saturdays this season. Quick
No,
one. So-
all they need is me there. So I'm glad you mentioned Christian Wood though, because he will be there tomorrow night, but Pascal Siakam will not be there tomorrow night. He's set to be reevaluated next week, so we will see what his return timetable looks like. But right now, that means Siakam has missed 9 games. He's played 9 of them. Missed 9, so pretty much on the half he hasn't been there, and the ones that he has played, majority of them the Raptors have won. So how much would the Raptors miss him tomorrow?
Of course they're gonna miss him in
A
general.
lot.
They've been missing him, right?
Yeah.
like you're,
If he was
yeah,
playing
I
few
will
of these
say,
games,
in
they
his
would've won.
absence, whenever Fred has been there, they do get
Yes.
what we
But you
realize.
need that
I
extra
think now,
punch,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And some of these games that they've lost,
Yeah,
if he
you
was
need
out there,
someone like
those are
Siakam.
wins, right?
Yeah, no, for
I'm
sure.
looking at the Atlanta game, for example, right? I think if Pascal's out there, they do win that game. They do, bro.
Sorry.
Who knows?
Sorry.
They do. I
Who
know about the A, but yeah, I think Pascal, the way he was playing prior to injury, right?
Yeah.
You saw people talk about all NBA team, first team. I saw a lot of people talking about right?
that. Though.
So
The one thing I will say with the quick about Siakam is, I think temper the expectations when he comes back because he's going to be off for a
that
while.
too.
Uh-huh.
That's a
Do
very
not
good point.
expect
Very good
him to
point.
be a first team All
Because
NBA player
yeah.
if he is. Great,
but
right?
that doesn't mean that you can't appreciate what he was doing.
No,
before.
I'm not-
for sure.
I'm not saying anything bad about what he did before.
But what because I'm expecting a lot of the Raptors fans to be like, okay, where's my 30 points?
Yeah,
where's
no,
where's
I'm
my
not going
where's my
there's gonna
20
be some
and
rust.
25 and 10,
There's
right?
gonna be some rust
It's not
there.
going to be an immediate
Absolutely.
25 and 10.
It's going to be
Yeah.
a progress.
Gradual, right? And
It's gonna take some
we do expect I expect him to get back to form for sure.
Yeah.
The way he was playing, right? But obviously after injury,
Does that,
temper the
injury, does that
expectation.
injury affect his All-Star campaign?
no.
No. You
Why?
think he
Because
could shoe in All-Star?
why? Because it's early.
Yeah,
that's
and if you
that
talk about
point.
injury, it matters to all the other teams out there too. Like
Oh,
how
yeah,
many
I'm
teams
just
are dealing with
yeah.
injuries,
posing the
right? But
I'm just
that
posing the question.
means Siakam
Yeah.
hopefully he gets
it's early.
reevaluated next week. But in that time, the Raptors have a pretty tough schedule coming up. They'll be playing the Mavs, the Cavs, the Pelicans, the Nets, Magic, and then right after that, my favorite team, the Celtics, and they ended up with the Lakers before going back to back with the Magic. I know I said it. Please don't
the
shoot me.
Lakers, that's gonna be
I'm gonna gonna go hide in parking lots after this one.
That's not a
But
place you want to hide.
let's-
Parking lots.
Okay,
It's open.
Justin, let me finish this show. But thank you so much for tuning in. We will see how the Raptors fare tomorrow. It's gonna be a match for the ages, and I will be there in the stands just to be ready to go if Coach Nurse needs another extra helping hand on
Back
the
up
court.
Poncho, too.
I'll be out practicing my free throws right
Courtside next to
afterwards.
Drizzy?
So
Holy.
yeah.
No, she's gonna be up in the bleeds.
All right, check
Up
us
in the
out
bleeds.
on Spotify, Apple, at the Parlay for everything NBA, and we will see you next time at Homestead Studios. Take care.